Hello and welcome to Livewire's newest show, The Pitch. I'm Ali Selby, and I don't know about you, but I really struggle to know when to sell my shares. So today we're going to learn how to do exactly that with the help of Michael Wayne from Medallion Financial. Thank you so much for joining us today, Michael.
Not a problem. Good to be here. Hopefully I can be of some use.
Definitely, definitely. They do say that it's harder to sell shares than it is to buy them. I can definitely vouch for that. Why is that?
So it comes down to behavioural economics in many ways. Many people suffer from a behavioural bias whereby they will do anything to avoid a loss. So loss aversion is a key thing that many people have. The reality is people will hold on to something, they'll will and hope it to come back over time, despite the fact that the news flow's changed, the outlook for that company has changed. That's, I think, a key thing. A second thing is familiarity bias. People feel comfortable holding things that they might have held for years. They might have had a good experience with that business in the past whereby they had made a profit or they had seen that company grow, but then they become oblivious to the changing landscape that might lay ahead for that company. So for a lot of people, they are impacted by bias. They become unhinged from the facts that are out there and the changing landscape, and they just choose to hold on to things and hope that over time things will come back.
How do you approach losing and winning positions in the portfolio?
So as an investment team, our preference is to let the winners run within our portfolio and get rid of the losers early. So if you think about it from an example, if you have 10 stocks, you have 9 stocks up 10%, but you have one stock down 90%, that's going to undo all the good work that you've done across the other stocks in your portfolio. And even if that business doesn't fall 90% or falls 50%, still undoes a lot of the good work that you have. So our approach when looking to sell out of companies is if the news flow changes, the updates from the company start to deteriorate, we will then look to exit the position and avoid that small loss turning into a big catastrophe.
It kind of sounds like momentum, letting your winners run. Is there any historical data that backs why that is, I guess, a better approach to follow?
Well, there's momentum in the sense of the share prices, but then there's also momentum in the underlying balance sheet. And often, you hear a lot of investors or fund managers talking about how earnings growth, revenue growth, dividend per share growth leads to positive outcomes for share prices. The inverse is true as well. If you start to see a lot of those key metrics deteriorate over time, often you'll see the share price come under pressure as well. So momentum, not only in the share price, but also in the underlying business and the balance sheet, can definitely be a leading indicator, if you like.
Where have you seen negative momentum in recent times? Are there any positions in the portfolio where you've had to cut those positions? Maybe you can take us through them as an example.
So one of the companies that we've recently exited entirely is IDP Education, or stock code IEL. It's a business that we had held for a long period of time and done quite well off. However, the landscape for that business has altered somewhat over the last 6 to 12 months. There's been regulatory changes in the UK, for instance, in Canada. There are also some ongoing issues in India with their English language testing systems. So from our standpoint, the visibility or the look-through for this company has become more clouded. It's still a company that we like. We still think their student placement businesses has the potential to generate a lot of growth for them. However, at the moment, and we just feel as though the momentum in the news flow is quite negative, and it's very difficult to get a gauge as to where things will eventually land for this company, particularly with their English language testing system part of the business. So you overlay that with a declining share price that's fallen through some long-term resistance levels, and for us, we just figured that we'd put that one to one side and maybe look at re-entering at some point down the track if that news flow starts to improve again and the outlook for certain parts of their business continues to build momentum.
Thank you so much, Michael. Absolutely adored that chat.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed that too, don't forget to subscribe to Livewire's YouTube channel. We're adding so much great content just like this every single week.